"Help me, please help me," cried the bloody half-naked driver while writhing between beanstalks. Powell told him to lie still and save his energy. "Who did this, Paul?" Powell asked. The driver could not answer. 10 minutes later, he was dead.
American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays come down. Throw it all away.
Welcome to another episode of American Timelines. I'm Amy and that's Joe.
And we're lovers.
And we are back.
We are back. Amy's back. Thanks, Aim, for coming back and doing it again. Sorry, it's been inconsistent. I feel like I
say
might
that
as well
every day.
Stop apologizing.
It's an inconsistent podcast at this point.
Yep, we are going to be an inconsistent podcast because this isn't our full-time job, unfortunately.
Yes, correct. So we're going to talk about 1943 today.
Beer. Yeah, we're still in 1943.
Yes.
We left off, we finished up July. We're going to pick up in August. I don't know how far, hopefully we'll get through.
Mine's in
brief.
September, so you better
We'll
put
definitely
your
get to
jammer in.
September.
Okay.
I just don't know what we're going to do. August, September, October. And then what do we do? But I do have some special surprises coming up soon. We got a couple more friend check things coming out. And then I also, just a little quick teaser, my great uncle was Huntz Hall from the Bowery Boys. A lot of people don't know that, who is long since passed. But his son is my uncle, Gary. And he is filled with stories about Huntz Hall, and Huntz Hall was very active in things in 1940s. He fought in World War II and made some videos. So we're going to do a side little jaunt into Huntz Hall's career and life. And because my uncle's got some great stories that I'm just going to, he's agreed to get on a podcast and tell me all about Huntz Hall. So look forward to that. That will be fun. And there you go.
All right.
Deal with that, everybody. So anyway, August 1st, 1943, we're going to jump right in. It was a Sunday. And rioting broke out in Harlem after a white NYPD officer, James Collins, shot a black soldier, Private Robert Bandy, in the shoulder during a scuffle. When an ambulance took Bandy to a hospital, a false rumor spread that the soldier had been killed, and so a mob began smashing the windows of pawn shops, liquor stores, and other white-owned Harlem businesses.
Yeah.
The riot was finally suppressed by black and white NYPD officers, state National Guardsmen, and military police, along with an appeal from Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you know that was where LaGuardia came from? I didn't either. I don't know much about New York, I guess. But anyway, he asked for peace and a delivery of food supplies to Harlem residents. And when the riot ended, 6 African Americans had died and more than 500 were arrested, while 40 officers had been injured.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty shitty times. That same day, William D. Becker, the mayor of St. Louis, have you ever heard of him?
No.
The mayor of St. Louis was killed that same day, along with 9 other people, while riding as an honored guest in a new cargo-carrying glider airplane at an air show at the city's Lambert Field Airport.
Oh, my.
Are you familiar with Lambert Field?
Well, yeah, that's the main airport.
That's the main airport.
Mm-hmm.
A crowd of 10,000 watched in horror as the wings of the glider buckled it descended to 2,000 feet, then plummeted to the ground. Killed also were Major William B. Robertson, president of the Robertson Aircraft Corporation, which had built the glider, St. Louis County Judge Executive Henry Mueller, and Thomas Dysart, president of the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce. How awful would that be? Hey, we're all at an air show. Here comes the mayor. And tragic. I kind of feel like, though, at an air show, like, aren't you kind of asking for that?
I know. Back then, when they just had invented airplanes.
Yeah, we just invented flight. I mean, this is a little bit later,
right?
30 years, but still, I think even now it's iffy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why. Okay, a couple people also died that date. I don't know why I kept this in, but the Blessed Martyrs of Nowogrodok, 11 Roman Catholic nuns led by Mother Superior Maria Stella Mardosowicz were executed. These are nuns executed by a Nazi firing squad in German-occupied Poland.
Jesus Christ!
And they were executed because they volunteered to take place of local men who had been scheduled for execution. The 11 would be beatified by the church in 2000. Is that how you say that?
Beatified. Mm-hmm.
And then Lydia Litviak, 21, a Soviet fighter ace who shot down at least 11 German airplanes. She also died that same day. She's one of 2 women who were aces. The other being Yekaterina Budanova, who died on July 19th. They're female aces from the Soviet Union.
Right.
August 2nd, 1943, Jewish inmates at the Treblinka extermination camp in Poland seized weapons from the camp's armory and made plans to take over the concentration camp from their captors. The theft was discovered before the inmates had enough to completely overpower the guards, but hundreds charged through the main gate and 300 managed to escape. A few guards were killed and the rebels set several buildings ablaze, but most of the escapees were hunted down and killed, with no more than 40 surviving. But I left that here just to keep in mind, because you hear about it, you just think they were just defenseless,
like cattle
and didn't do
or
anything.
something, but they were fighting back.
They were fighting. They fought. It was just they were just overwhelmed. There were
and they were starved, and they were ill, and they were like you can't fight back.
There's just lots of stories like this that if you really dig into it, it's not like they were just all completely passive and let it happen. At 2 a.m. local time on August 2nd, the U.S. Navy patrol torpedo boat PT-109 with a crew of 13, commanded by Lieutenant John F. Kennedy, was traveling through the Blackett Strait in the Solomon Islands when it was rammed and sunk by the Japanese destroyer Amajiri. Though 2 of the crew were killed, Kennedy and the other 10 men swam 3 miles to a small island and then to Olasana Island, both of which were uninhabited. Kennedy and Ensign George H.R. Ross would make their way to Nauru Island, where they were found by natives, Biaku Gasa and Arone Kumana, who delivered a message that Kennedy had carved on a coconut to the PT base at Rendova Island. Did you know that happened with JFK? That all happened during World War II?
No.
He had to carve a message on a coconut.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then they were rescued on August 8th, and Kennedy received the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for his heroism. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
JFK was great, but I didn't know he was like a war hero that did all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that same day, Max Wright, who played Willie Tanner on Alf, was born.
Jesus
in
Christ.
Detroit. That's just as important.
No, it's not.
All right. August 3rd, 1943 was a Tuesday. The U.S. state of Georgia lowered the legal voting age from 21 to 18, becoming the first state in the union to grant 18-year-olds the right to vote. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know it was ever 21.
Yeah.
And then that same day, General George S. Patton. There's a lot of Patton shit you're going to hear that's bad. I don't know if you knew George S. Patton was an asshole. But General George S. Patton was visiting the 15th Evacuation Hospital in Nicosia, Cyprus, when he encountered Private Charles K. Huell. Charles H. Huell, who was in the hospital for malaria and dysentery, as well as for shell shock. Patton asked Private Huell what he was in for, and Huell replied, "I guess I just can't take it." Patton lost his temper and struck Huell with his gloves.
Oh, my God.
Yep. On August 10th, Patton would strike another soldier, and the incidents became public knowledge. Yeah. If you said you had shell shock, he would just hit you, slap you, and say you're a wussy.
Like a wuss.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way things were in the 40s. That's why, like, how much undiagnosed PTSD must there have been?
Oh, my God. Yeah. They didn't even know about, shell shock, but they
thought that a lot of people didn't think that was a real thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to jump to August 8th, which is a Sunday. The U.S. Army barred the taking of photos at all beach resorts on the Atlantic Ocean, and even painting or sketching beach scenes as part of defense of the eastern United States.
Oh.
Civilian violators will be barred from going to the coast or even subjected to trial in a military court for violating or conspiring to violate regulations, just because they didn't want enemies to get pictures of what it looked like, I guess. August 10th, 1943 was a Tuesday. For the second time in a week, General George S. Patton struck a U.S. Army soldier after losing his temper. This time, his encounters with Private Paul G. Bennett in the 93rd Evacuation Hospital in San Stefano in Sicily. Patton asked Bennett what he was ill with, and Bennett, suffering from shell shock, replied, "It's my nerves. I can't stand the shelling anymore." According to a medical officer who witnessed the attack, Patton replied, "Your nerves? Hell, you're just a goddamn coward, you yellow son of a bitch," and then slapped him. Yeah. Yep. The second incident was witnessed by a nurse who told her boyfriend, a U.S. Army captain in the Public Affairs Detachment in the U.S. 7th Army, it would make news worldwide when it became public 3 months later. Although demands would be made by members of Congress for Patton to be relieved of duty, he would instead be reprimanded and would be made to apologize to both soldiers.
Jesus Christ.
Jump into August 15th, which was a Sunday. The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci was nearly destroyed when a bomb dropped directly on the Santa Maria del Grazie in Milan in August of 1943. For 3 years afterwards, it was exposed to the elements until building restoration.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, can you believe that? It was just like in this
outside,
blown open. Yeah, it was like, a bomb dropped on the place. So,
jeez.
Yeah, but luckily, apparently, protective sandbagging prevented the painting from being struck by bomb splinters, but it may have been damaged by the vibration. Between 1946 and 1954, Mauro Pelliccioli undertook a clean and stabilized restoration with the painting. And Brera director Fernando Witkins was involved, too. Pelliccioli reattached paint to the wall using a clear shellac, making it relatively darker and more colorful, and removed some of the overpainting. However, as of 1972, the repainting done in various restorations had made the heads of St. Peter, Andrew, and James differ significantly from the original design. So, there's something there that you know about in the art world.
There you go.
August 17th, 1943 was a Tuesday, and in New York City, American film actor Robert De Niro was born in the Manhattan borough of New York City. He was the only child of painters Virginia Admiral and Robert De Niro Sr. His parents had met at the painting classes of Hans Hofmann in Provincetown, Massachusetts. How about that? They separated when he was 2 years old after his father announced that he was gay.
Oops.
So he was raised by his mother in Greenwich Village and Little Italy neighborhoods of Manhattan. His father lived nearby and remained close with De Niro during his childhood.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. When he was a kid, he was nicknamed Bobby Milk because of his pale complexion. How about that? And they started acting at age 10. And he went to the same high school as J.D. Salinger and Henry Winkler, like Bernie's school. Oh, also Ad Rock went to that school, too, from the Beastie Boys. You ever hear of the Beastie Boys?
All right, we're moving on.
Anyway, that is it. That is great about Robert De Niro. Here's some things you know now for trivia purposes. August 22nd, 1943 was a Sunday. The identity of Gertie from Berlin. You know who that is?
No.
So Gertie from Berlin would broadcast Nazi propaganda to English-speaking radio listeners.
Oh.
And her identity was revealed by the FBI to be Gertrude Hahn, an American citizen and native of Pittsburgh.
Oh, no.
She had moved to Berlin in 1938 when her father decided to return the family to Germany because he grew up. But
they were Nazis.
She had grown up in Mount Oliver, Pennsylvania. Yeah, but yeah, they were German, apparently. Yeah, how about that? Now we're jumping to September. September 1st was a Wednesday in 1943. And September 2nd was a Thursday. September 3rd was a Friday. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, on September 2nd, I don't know how to say this name. You know how to say this name? Seweryn, Seweryn.
Severin?
Is it Severin?
I think it's Severin.
Severin Kleinman?
Yeah.
Kleinman? Severin Kleinman, an 18-year-old Jewish inmate at the Treblinka extermination camp, led an escape of 13 of his fellow prisoners. The group killed the Ukrainian SS guard who was overseeing their work detail with a crowbar.
Oh, good.
Kleinman then changed into the guard's uniform and with rifle in hand and shouting orders, marched his group out of the camp's gates as if going to a new assignment.
Oh, that's so smart.
Isn't that so smart? I wonder if there's a movie. There's got to be a movie about that. That's genius. And then we have a birthday that you're going to love on Tuesday, September 7th. An American singer known as Gloria Fowles was born in Newark, New Jersey. She was born to Daniel Fowles and Queenie Mae Proctor, and her grandmother lived nearby and was involved in her upbringing. And she said there was always music in our house. Gloria wrote in her autobiography called I Will Survive.
Oh, Gloria Gaynor.
Gloria Gaynor, yeah. Her father played the ukulele and guitar and sang professionally in nightclubs with a group called Step and Fetch It. Gloria grew up as a tomboy. She had 5 brothers, 1 sister. Her brother sang gospel and formed a quartet with a friend. And she was not allowed to sing with the all-male group, nor was her younger brother Arthur. Gloria was a girl, and he was too young.
Oh.
Then they moved to a housing project in 1960 where Gloria attended Southside High School, home of the Bulldogs, now called Malcolm X Shabazz High School. Ed Koch also went there. But she began singing at a nightclub in Newark, and where she was recommended to a local band by a neighbor. After several years of performing at local clubs along the East Coast, Gaynor began her recording career in 1971 at Columbia Records. I knew you'd love her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, we're getting to years here. September 8th, 1943 was a Wednesday. Italy surrendered to the Allied forces after more than 3 years as a member of the Alliance of the Axis Powers. At 7:30 in the evening local time, radio listeners in Italy were stunned to hear their prime minister, Marshal Pietro Badoglio, remember, because Mussolini had been overthrown.
Oh, right.
And he read the statement that the Italian government, recognizing the impossibility of continuing the unequal struggle against the overwhelming power of the enemy, and with the object of avoiding further, more grievous harm to the nation, has requested an armistice from General Eisenhower. This request has been granted. The Italian forces will therefore cease all acts of hostility against the Anglo-American forces wherever they may be met. U.S. Army Dwight D. Eisenhower released the news on the unconditional surrender, effective this instant at the same time in a broadcast from Allied headquarters in North Africa. Half of the 70,000 Allied prisoners of war in Italy were able to escape in a single day, walking out of the camps when their prison guards deserted. Big deal.
Yes.
On September 11th, 1943, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Always by Bing Crosby hit the #1 spot on the Billboard charts. Do you know that song?
No. Unaware.
Do you care about it?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. On September 12th, on that Sunday, in the Grand Sasso raid, German SS Sturmbannführer Otto Skorzeny led a rescue of Benito Mussolini, a recent deposed Italian dictator who had been imprisoned at the Campo Imperial Hotel, located in the Abruzzi Mountains, shortly after 2 p.m. 8 gliders landed silently at the resort, bringing a team of German commandos. They were followed by 70 paratroopers who secured the grounds, while Skorzeny's team overpowered the Italian army prison guards, who surrendered without a fight. 20 minutes after the attack began, a German Fiesler Storch plane departed Grand Sasso with Mussolini and Skorzeny on board. So he was in prison, but the Germans rescued him, Mussolini, and took him back to Germany, I guess.
Oh.
I had no idea. Again, I did not pay attention in school. I was not a World War II guy.
I don't think you would have gone to that detail.
You don't think about what happened with Mussolini? Like, it just blows my mind. All that shit. So, and that brings us September 13th.
Wait a minute. You're skipping me.
I know. It brings us, I'm leading into you.
Oh.
September 13th, 1943 was a Monday, and that's where the lovely and talented Amy is going to take over and tell us about a creepy murder story, possibly, right?
Yes, I'm going to tell the mysterious death of actor David Bacon.
Famous actor?
Not really.
Not really super famous?
He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, though. Like, he was born to a real politically active family, real wealthy.
Donald Trump.
Privilege.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Harvard and...
David Bacon. Okay.
He was friends with Henry Fonda and James Stewart.
Oh, really? Not related to Kevin Bacon at all?
No. He drifted, though, for a lot of years because his acting career didn't take off.
Okay.
He moved to New York City, and he was sponsored by a wealthy British patron, and he still couldn't get a job, but he would wear all these furs and expensive clothes and jewelry, and people thought he was maybe being a gigolo with this patron. So then he moved back to L.A., where he met and married Austrian singer and actress Greta Keller, 11 years his senior, in 1942.
When you say patron,
like
this British patron.
Yeah, somebody who pays for you to
just live.
To live, yeah.
So that's kind of his
to be a project or something.
Okay.
In her later years, Keller
yeah.
disclosed that Bacon was homosexual and that she was a lesbian, and that their lavender marriage partly served as to what she referred to as a beard, allowing both of them to maintain the requisite facade in Hollywood, where they were both attempting to establish film careers.
Yeah, so they couldn't tell anybody they were gay. They were both trying to be actors. She's gay, he's gay.
Right.
They're married. Okay.
They called those a lavender marriage.
Those were a lot of those probably back then.
Yes. So then he got a big break in Hollywood while playing a doomed nephew of Benedict Arnold, trying to redeem his family's name in 1942's 10 Gentlemen from West Point.
Oh.
Though Bacon was far from top billing and was apparently only in his first film, everyone on set, including headlines George Montgomery and Maureen O'Hara, referred to Bacon as our star.
Oh.
The Boston Globe reported, "He's really terrific." Director Henry Hathaway told the Globe, "Half the time he drove us nuts with muttering his lines between takes, brooding over his method."
The method actor. What was that film again? Say it again.
10 Gentlemen from West Point.
10 Gentlemen from West Point. So we could watch that and see this guy?
We're not going on, but we could.
Oh, I could.
Tall, dark, and handsome, Bacon was described as the next Henry Fonda. And with Hollywood in the midst of a leading man shortage at the time, this actor hoped to fill the void and start his path towards stardom. In 1942, Howard Hughes met Bacon and signed him to an exclusive contract with the intention of casting him in The Outlaw as Billy the Kid.
Oh.
And then but then he screen tested for the role and they didn't like him.
Oh, really?
And then Hughes later decided not to use him in The Outlaw. I replaced him with Jack Butel. I never heard of him either.
Jack Butel.
He kept Bacon to the term in his contract, casting him in several smaller roles, usually as college boys.
Okay.
Keller alleged that there was a homosexual relationship between Hughes and Bacon, and she blamed the alleged relationship for Bacon's being replaced.
Okay.
Hughes, however, was widely known as a womanizer and was often the target of unscrupulous claims to cash in on his money, so who knows. So he did land the roles in 5 movies altogether, before scoring what he hoped would be his big breakthrough in The Masked Marvel, which was a 12-episode serial.
Oh.
It was an action spectacular that also served as era-type wartime propaganda. The hero was trying to take down Japanese spy and saboteur Murasukima, and cringeworthy villain notorious for blowing things up in the hope of hampering Allied forces and causing the United States war production to break down. The big twist, and one that Republic had used in The Lone Ranger, was that neither the characters nor the viewers knew the identity of the titular star until the very last scene of the series, when unassuming insurance agent Bob Barton, played by Bacon, took off his mask to reveal himself as the mysterious crime-fighting hero. It was produced with a low budget, and Keller recalled that he was completely humiliated because it kind of marked a low point in his career.
Because it was such a shitty
kind
show.
of a shitty one, yeah. So that's what he's best remembered, though, for today.
The Masked Marvel.
The Masked Marvel, yeah. So then...
It's got 7.2 stars on IMDb.
Oh, well, there you go.
10, I think.
So then on September 12th, 1943... it was a sunny afternoon, Sunday, around 5 p.m. in Venice, California, when 12-year-old Lorraine Smith happened to look out her window and notice something peculiar. There below was a burgundy Austin sports car heading east on Washington Boulevard, but something was off. The car was bumping and bouncing across the road that runs parallel to her home, narrowly avoiding crashing into the telephone pole before jumping the curb and finally landing in a bean field. So then she grabbed her telescope for a closer look, noticed something else. The man behind the wheel was nearly naked. And then things got really weird. Wearing only blue bathing suit
this
trunks.
Is a time, let's just mention that this is a time, the 40s. You don't leave the house without a suit and tie and hat. You know,
you had to wear a hat.
You can't be naked outside.
So all he had on was bathing suit trunks.
Okay.
So the driver, she sees the driver open the car door and stumble about 15 feet and then fall to the ground covered in blood.
Eesh.
A man named Wayne Powell, who had witnessed the crash, rushed to the scene. "Help me, please help me," cried the bloody half-naked driver while writhing between beanstalks. Powell told him to lie still and save his energy. "Who did this, Paul?" Powell asked. The driver could not answer. 10 minutes later, he was dead.
Oh, no.
So, the steering wheel soaked in blood, bloody handprints on the driver's side window. It's like...
God, if only he could have said something. You know, he could have told him.
So they don't know... He had a pregnant wife, Greta Keller.
Yeah.
She was pregnant at the time.
With his baby?
That's what it sounds.
A little bit of artificial
They hosted a
celebration.
soiree that included cocktails for 150 guests, followed by a sit-down supper for 50 at Castle Hill, their home in Hollywood Hills.
Who did?
Before this.
Before
the
that?
weekend of his murder.
Oh,
That's
I
how
love
the weekend
soirees.
began. Sorry.
Oh, the soiree was the beginning of the week before.
Yeah.
Backtracking.
And she liked to joke that she sang in 4 languages but cooked in 14. She made a traditional Viennese dish.
Okay.
The next evening, Bacon returned the favor by serving his gourmet chef wife his 2 signature dishes, omelets and jello.
Oh, gosh. Omelets and jello. That's a great combo.
I know. So then Sunday morning, they're having breakfast. He suggests they go to the beach. She wants to go with him, but because she was in the 2nd trimester of her pregnancy, her doctor told her she should probably stay home and rest. So
Okay.
they instead spend the afternoon writing letters. Then they lay down together to take a nap. When she wakes up, he's gone, and she would never see him again.
And that's when he disappeared.
Nobody knows exactly where he went, who he was with, or why anyone would want to murder him. Money was likely not a motive since he was still wearing a valuable ring and had $13 along with his Screen Actors Guild card in his wallet when he died.
So somebody wanted him dead.
Inside the vehicle, there was a blood-soaked bathrobe, but it didn't have a knife hole, so the detectives deduced that Bacon wasn't wearing it at the time he was murdered. He was just sitting on top of it, maybe.
Okay.
And this is where the questions begin. After the autopsy, medical examiner Frank Webb surmised that Bacon was stabbed with a stiletto while he was leaning forward, possibly releasing the parking brake. But there was no sign of a struggle. When the police dusted the car for fingerprints, they all came back as belonging to Bacon.
Huh.
Meanwhile, eyewitnesses to the crash told the police varying stories. A gas station attendant was about a half mile away.
Mm-hmm.
He said he saw both a man and a woman in the car with Bacon. A woman who lived across the street from the crash, though, told police that she definitely saw a dark-haired man in the passenger seat.
Okay.
Because of the angle of the knife wound, Webb theorized that the killer was left-handed and not very tall.
Okay.
He said because the way the knife punctured Bacon's lungs, Bacon could have driven 20 minutes before he died, giving his assailant plenty of time to bail out before the crash.
Jump out, yeah.
So he had a small puncture wound in his back. The weapon had punctured his lungs, and that's what caused his death. The weapon was never found, though the wound was suggested to be from, like I said, the stiletto.
Yeah. Stiletto.
I don't know. Almost every day, newspapers across the country reported a new twist or piece of baffling information. Twists like Bacon's encrypted diary that Keller gave the police, and it seemed to be written in a secret code.
Really?
Yeah. Even odder, shortly before he died, the roof of his Cadillac convertible had been shredded and, slashed with a knife.
Really?
Keller told police that her husband never gave her a straight story about what had happened.
Yeah.
One day he said he was in the car while someone knifed it. Another time he said it happened while he was at the studio. But he traded the vehicle for a used Rolls Royce and the small British-made Austin sports car that later became a murder scene.
Yeah, he definitely had a strange secret
Something.
life, I guess.
So just days after his death, his cousin uncovered a file and filed a will that Bacon had handwritten 3 months before the crash.
Oh.
It was dated June 14th. It was written in pencil on a piece of onion skin paper.
Okay.
It left everything to Bacon's wife, Keller.
Okay.
She later explained in notes for her biography that Bacon refused to come to bed one evening, even though he had to get up to film early the next morning.
Yeah.
He told her he was jumping off a 2nd-story building during filming and he wanted a will just in case something went wrong.
In case he died then, yeah.
But what was the real reason? Did he know? He was 29.
Yeah, he must have
kinda
known
weird.
something was going to happen.
And then there was the apartment. Police discovered that Bacon had rented a small studio apartment in Laurel Canyon a few weeks before his death.
That she didn't know about?
Yeah. The key in
secret
his
apartment?
wallet when he died fit the lock. Keller said, well, no, I'm sorry. She said she helped him pick the apartment. Then they advertised in the paper for a carpenter to help him execute plans to expand their home in exchange for a place to live. But nobody lived there. The police, all they found inside the apartment were dirty dishes, coffee, spaghetti, and some books.
So they originally got the apartment because somebody was going to... Somebody was going to renovate their home?
They wanted to expand their home in exchange for
room and board.
Yeah.
Like that person was going to live in that apartment.
Something like that. And so then there was this upstairs neighbor, Leslie Dennison, who told investigators that he never noticed anyone in the apartment except for the day of the murder. Someone was there on Sunday, he said.
Huh.
And then the landlord, Charles Hendricks, told police that he was driving by the building 2 days before Bacon died and saw a light on, so he stopped to collect the $20 for rent.
Okay.
Bacon said he didn't
$20.
have the cash on him, but promised to leave it in the landlord's mailbox the next morning, which he did.
But he was there.
But he was not alone.
Oh.
There was another man with Mr. Bacon, Hendricks said at the
that's a
coroner's
sex
inquest.
apartment. That's what
He
that
was
is.
dark and slight, foreign-looking, and his face was flushed like he was angry. All the time I was there, he never spoke a word, nor did Mr. Bacon introduce me to him. The police announced that they were searching for the individual Bacon's landlord had met.
Mm-hmm.
This man should have come forward by now with an explanation, unless he's left town.
Yeah.
The captain, LAPD captain says. Unfortunately, this was just one more wild chase. But while the angry apartment person of interest never turned up, others did, including one hospital orderly who knew the identity of Bacon's killer, or so he said.
Mm-hmm.
This was September 21st. 22-year-old Blakely Clifford Patterson gave an exclusive interview to the Los Angeles Examiner, saying he knew exactly who'd murdered his good friend Bacon, and he believed he was next. I have a feeling that if this man is still in Los Angeles, he'll get me too. That my days are numbered, fretted Patterson. He might kill me to silence me. A hospital orderly who had recently moved to Hollywood, Patterson said he first encountered Bacon at the beach, and they became fast friends. He recalled that one day he and Bacon met with a mystery man at a downtown hotel. This man seemed to be very angry at David, Patterson said. Patterson told reporters that Bacon phoned him in a panic at about 11 on the morning of the murder, saying that the man had written a threatening letter demanding money. Quote, he seemed puzzled and nervous and didn't know what to make of it, Patterson said. Bacon begged Patterson to go with him to the beach to meet the man, but Patterson responded he couldn't because he had to work. So Bacon then said he would call him the next morning, but then he was killed. So any hope by detectives that a key witness was about to blow the case wide open was dashed away when they finally interviewed Patterson and asked him to describe his good friend David Bacon, and he couldn't.
Oh, really? He couldn't
so
even...
he then recants the story, says he makes the whole thing up.
What?
Says he never even met him.
Yeah, people come out of woodworks, weirdos, right?
Weirdos.
Stuff like this all the time.
There was another guy named Charles Weil who said he knew who killed Bacon, and he said it was him. He said he
did it?
23. He said he murdered the masked marvel. But then police let him go after questioning, and they said they didn't believe him.
That guy's a lunatic, doesn't know what he's talking about.
But then the police did have a suspect. They were, there was a blue crew neck sweater that was placed under Bacon's head, and it was taken from the car in the bean field before he died. Detectives noted that there was no way it would have fit the guy. He was 6'2", so it was way too small. Police sent the sweater to the crime lab and found blonde hairs around the collar and 3 small feathers that appeared as they might have belonged to a seagull.
Oh. Really?
So law enforcement determined
they were at the beach.
The sweater looked like the kind sailors wore. So they started questioning Army-Navy stores along the coast in an attempt to find the owner. It's logical to assume that whoever stabbed Bacon departed so hastily he left a sweater behind, Brown told reporters. So then police searched for a man who was about 5'8" and blonde, weighing about 140 pounds. And they were convinced they'd found him when they arrested 20-year-old Navy deserter Glenn Schaum for the crime. He had been hired by Bacon as a gardener 2 weeks before the murder. But then Bacon canceled the job a few days before he died. But Schaum had an alibi, so that was the problem with him.
So he's not it either.
So the investigation, it was hard because the investigation was kind of botched. Hold on.
Botch investigation. A lot of botching in the 40s.
Yeah, hold on. I lost my place. It scrolled all the way back up. Damn it. It scrolled back up on me. Don't you hate when it scrolls up on you?
I hate it when it fucking scrolls up on you, motherfucker.
So they didn't know, and it's still an open case. His wife had a miscarriage, it turned out, from all the stress. She never remarried. And that's pretty much it. That was pretty much the story.
That's it? That's the story? And we never find out who did it?
We didn't know. Nobody knows.
Unsolved. So
Unsolved Mysteries in the Moonlight.
Yeah, if you are out there and you are aware of who did this, if you did this, and you're listening to American Timelines, just
let us know.
Tweet
Call
us. Call in at 1-900-HOT-BALL. Hot.
All right.
Hot sex with 2 X's. No, just tweet us or hit us up on Instagram at History for Jerks and let us know, and we'll have you on. And anybody can come on and just say they did this. Okay. Yeah. Let's see how far we can get through 1943, shall we?
Should we take a break? Because I need to. I'm starving.
Oh, you are? You're hungry?
Yes.
Yeah. So We'll be right back after these messages.
Yeah.
Hey, Grandma. I wish there was a podcast that helps me understand nerd stuff. I love Marvel movies, but sometimes I don't understand it all.
Oh, you're in luck, my dear, because there is. It's called the Nerd School Podcast. School with a K. It's by History for Jerks, and it stars the mighty art star who has a very sexy voice. He teaches a jackass named Joe all about nerdom, focusing on the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the help of Professor Andy, a former comic book journalist, and the great badass, TBJ. She's one cool customer. Anywho, listen to the gang walk us all through the MCU and other nerd stuff on the Nerd School Podcast by History for Jerks.
Holy shit, Grandma, that sounds fucking great.
The Nerd School Podcast by History for Jerks. Download it today wherever you get your fucking podcasts.
And we're back.
Hello.
I hope you enjoyed that
Respite.
ad break. That respite for Amy's incessant garbage.
I was hungry. What the hell?
Well, that's okay. You know, people get hungry. People are human.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so let's jump back into it. That was David Bacon. That was interesting. Thank you for researching and covering that.
You're welcome.
Just a quick World War II update. September 14th of 1943 was a Tuesday, and Mussolini was flown to the Wolf's Lair for a meeting with Hitler, who informed him that it was imperative that a new fascist government be set up to administer Italy. So at this point, Hitler's pretty much losing it, right? He's going nuts, and he's like insisting that Mussolini's continuing to run Italy when Italy's like he's been deposed and put in jail. You know,
okay.
And then September 15th was a Wednesday. 3 days after being freed from imprisonment by Germany, and 7 weeks after his overthrow in July, Mussolini was restored to leadership of Italy by the Nazi occupiers.
Oh.
German paratroopers also landed in St. Peter's Square at Vatican City in Rome, despite the Vatican's neutrality in the war.
Oh.
And then Mussolini made his announcement of a return to power from Adolf Hitler's headquarters in Rastenburg. And then on September 23rd, the Italian Social Republic, with its capital at Venice, was founded in northern Italy as a puppet state of Nazi Germany. So they kind of... There's two Italys, I guess, at this point. There's a puppet state in northern Italy.
Okay.
With former Italian Premier Benito Mussolini as the head of state. The office of Mussolini and most of the government ministries was located in the resort town of Salo, which I've never heard of. Then Julio Iglesias is born.
Thank God.
Same day. So that now it's fixed.
Right.
Because Julio Iglesias is alive. Then we're going to switch to October 4th, 1943 is a Monday.
We're doing October too?
Yeah, we're jumping in October.
Okay.
Well, I don't know unless you have another story to October, November, and December.
I don't know.
No. Okay, let's cover October real quick. October 4th.
Yeah.
Bing Crosby first recorded his second most famous Christmas song.
White Christmas? That's his most famous.
That's probably his.
I'll be home for
Christmas.
Yeah.
Also titled, in parentheses, If Only in My Dreams.
Oh, okay.
So I was not aware of that. Then October 5th, which was a Tuesday, it was the 1943 Negro World Series. The Homestead Grays of Pittsburgh, champions of the Negro National League, defeated the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro American League 8-4 to win the series in 7 games.
Okay.
So how about that? A little bit of info about that. People don't talk about that ever. And that's the same day Steve Miller was born. He's a picker and a grinner.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Midnight.
Steve Miller's
or something.
band.
Yeah, Steve Miller.
Okay.
October 7th was a Thursday. The children's film Lassie Come Home, the first in a series of 7 MGM movies starring the fictional rough collie dog Lassie, was released.
They always played those on a Sunday afternoon when I was a kid.
Well, this one, a young Roddy McDowell played Lassie's companion. Did you know that?
No.
October 8th, a Friday, Chevy Chase is born. He's supposed
to be an asshole.
American TV comedian, film actor. He's notorious a-hole.
Yeah.
October 11th was a Monday. The New York Yankees won the World Series in 5 games, defeating the St. Louis Cardinals 2-0. Wah, wah, in your face, St. Louis.
Oh, I don't care.
Right. Yankees catcher Bill Dickey hit the home run that scored both runs in the 6th inning. And one time, I got a call from a guy named Bob Dickey. And he said, Joe Bob Dickey. He always says, Joe Bob Dickey every time he called me.
All right.
Anyway, that was years ago. Anyway, October 13th was a Wednesday in 1943, 35 days after he had been fighting as a member of the Axis powers against the Allies. Italy, the true Italy, declared war on Germany with a broadcast by Prime Minister Pietro Badoglio at 3 o'clock local time.
Okay.
That makes sense. So Mussolini's in northern Italy pretending to be Italy.
Yeah.
And the actual Italy is now switched sides in the war.
Oh.
Did you know that happened?
No.
Yeah. So they declared war on Germany.
Holy shit.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
Mm-mm.
Well, now you do. Now you know everything about World War II.
I wouldn't say everything.
You wouldn't say anything? Well, did you know that during World War II, Penny Marshall was born?
I figure.
On a Friday, October 15th. She was an American actress and film director, born in New York City. Oh, everybody loves Penny Marshall.
That's true.
Then October 17th, which was a Sunday, after 5 years of construction, the city of Chicago began regular service on its very first subway.
Oh.
A 4.9-mile stretch of underground track that ran from State Street and Clybourne Avenue. At the dedication the day before, Mayor Edward J. Kelly declared that the subway was all the more a remarkable accomplishment since many famous engineers had declared it was impossible to have a train,
underground
a subway in Chicago. Yeah. So it would never happen. But you and I rode that several times.
Yes. And it was awful every time, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of lovemaking on those.
It was very
trains.
stinky.
Very
and hot.
stinky.
Usually
gross.
hot.
Always people yelling at you and telling you to get away from them.
Yep.
Yeah, one lady told you she hated white people. Remember that?
Sort of.
You were like,
I remember that old drunk man that was like, it's chilly outside.
Yeah, there was that guy. And there was one time a guy that was covered in gasoline holding a match that I was on the train with.
Yes.
I quickly got off that train. And then October 20th, 1943 was a Wednesday. 88 people were killed by an explosion and fire that happened when 2 gasoline tanker ships collided off the coast of Palm Beach, Florida.
Ouch.
The 2 vessels, an empty tanker with 73 people on board, and a fully loaded ship with a full load of gasoline and a crew of 43, had been unable to see each other because they were blacked out as a precaution against a submarine attack.
Oh, shit.
So because of that,
They crashed.
There were only 28 survivors, most of whom had been able to jump overboard and swim away from the burning pool of aviation fuel.
Yikes.
Can you imagine
you could swim
that?
through it, too.
Oh, God, how awful would that be?
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Blech.
Oh, that's uncomfortable. October 22nd, 1943 is a Friday. German-American circus performer Aloysius Peters, billed as the Great Peters, and he's also billed as the Man with the Iron Neck, was killed when his signature stunt went wrong at the Fireman's Wild West Rodeo and Thrill Circus in St. Louis, Missouri.
What was his signature?
Peters' act involved leaping from a trapeze bar with a noose around his neck made from an elastic rope.
Ooh.
The rope Peters used at his final performance was of inferior wartime quality, affecting his timing, and his neck was broken in front of everybody.
Jesus Christ.
Well, kids, I hope you like the circus.
Your money's worth today.
PTSD, kids. A big load of PTSD you leave the circus with. Some peanuts, Cracker Jacks, and PTSD. October 24th, 1943, Leonard Siflete died.
I don't know who that is.
He was a 27-year-old Australian commando. He was executed by beheading.
Oh.
A photograph taken of the moment just before the beheading became one of the most enduring images of World War II. I've never heard of that, but apparently that was the big thing. I don't think I could watch a beheading. Have you ever seen a beheading? Yeah. I mean, there's some online you can watch, I guess. You know, there's all kinds of stuff like that people could.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I think you can't unsee it. Can't unsee it, bro.
That's right.
Speaking of PTSD.
I feel like I have seen one in my life. Like, I can kind of picture it, and it's disgusting.
But you think you've unseen it with enough weed smoking? Is that
probably? What? I think so. I'm trying to.
Okay.
That's my.
That's your goal.
That's really why I'm. Yeah.
October 25th was a Monday. 4 years after being introduced as a superhero in Detective Comics issue number 27 in May of 1939, Batman reached a larger audience with the debut of the newspaper comic strip Batman and Robin, authored by Bob Kane. So it became more mainstream.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin. I didn't know it was ever a newspaper comic strip.
Yeah.
Shows you what I know. And October 28th was a Thursday. And this, have you ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment?
Yes.
You have?
I've heard of it.
What is it?
Something about the war, I think. No?
Kinda. It's a story that's widely believed to be a hoax. the destroyer escort USS Eldridge was supposedly rendered invisible to human observers for a brief period. A giant ship.
Yeah.
And in some versions of the story, it was even teleported from the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard to the U.S. Navy Shipyard in Norfolk, Virginia, and back, with the result that several of the people on board were seriously injured, went insane, or killed.
But that's all a bunch of bullshit.
I don't know the story to be popularized by the best-selling 1974 book, The Bermuda Triangle by Charles Berlitz, and the U.S. Navy began receiving regular inquiries. In 1979, Berlitz and William L. Moore
They probably made it up.
They'd write a more detailed account in the Philadelphia experiment, Project Invisibility, by which time the Navy would have a standard response. The response was this. As for the Philadelphia experiment, the ONR, Office of Naval Research, has never conducted any investigations on invisibility, either in 1943 or at any other time.
It's so dumb.
In view of present scientific knowledge, our scientists do not believe that such an experiment could be possible except in the realm of science fiction.
Yeah.
Anyway, word was that happened. And that's all I have for October.
All right.
You want to do a separate one on November,
we'll have
December?
to do November,
We'll come
December.
back and do something. Maybe I'll have, maybe I'll cover November, December with somebody else.
Hey, there you
Maybe
go.
I'll get Hunter Brame to cover something, or
Yeah.
our good friend Steve Bishop from the Gruff and Loud Show. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we love you people. We are in love with you, and we would like to show you feet pics. Just hit us up.
You would like to show people.
Oh, boom.
Feet pics.
If you want to see feet pics, just kidding. We don't really have any feet pics.
And
that's it.
That's it. It's time
That's
to get
all
out
we
of here,
got.
Chuck Berry.
Yep, go back about your regular business. If you're in the car, if you're sitting in a parking lot ready to start your work day and you were just listening to this and you wanted to finish up listening to this and it's about over and you're dreading going into work, well, have a great day.
Yeah.
Don't yell at anybody. Don't have a great day. Just smile. Just say fuck it. Go in for an hour and then go home. Just fake an illness. What are they going to do? Actually, shit your pants.
All right. Goodbye.
What are they going to do? They're not going to make you work and shit your pants. Anyway, thanks for listening. Oh, here's a good boy.
Have you been down on the streets today? Say, yeah, now, baby, it's about to get crazy. Everybody's got something to say. We got 10,000 people screaming, oh my God, it's over, but they're never gonna take us away. So you better get believing there's a brand new feeling. If you're asking, I say stay awake, stay awake.
Matt Truman Ego Trip is the greatest band of all time. Buy their music. Also, American Timelines is a product of History for Jerks and a member of the Queen City Podcast Network. Find out more about History for Jerks at historyforjerks.com. Check out the Gruff and Loud Show on YouTube and the Nerd School podcast featuring the sexy art star. There's also a dumb t-shirt shop on Threadless, created by History for Jerks. You can buy a Gordon Jump shirt or an Edie McClurg shirt. It's really dumb and stupid.